Kogan in A10, talking more Cold War today. This is a nice one. Wonder Twin Powers, except they're not Wonder Twin Powers, they are rivalries.
Yes.
Previous lesson we talked about, World War II is now over. Now you're going to have this Cold War existing between the United States and the Soviet Union. And again, the key word we're looking at there is that there's going to be this intense rivalry. Military, geographically, space, sports, and we mentioned that list can kind of
Social, politically.
go on and on.
So let's remember, Europe has been destroyed by World
Absolutely.
War II.
Yep.
I mean, it is in ruin. We saw plenty of pictures of the absolute destruction. We are trying to rebuild the nations of Europe in our own image. Why? Because that's kind of what we do.
It is.
We're trying to spread democracy and capitalism throughout the world. So here we see Uncle Sam planting seeds, dollar bills, actually probably like planting coins,
Oh, nice.
that we're going to hope to grow. Iron Curtain, the influence that the Soviet Union has over Eastern Europe. We've got Joseph Stalin throwing down his own seeds. If anybody's a farmer or a gardener, what's the last thing you want growing in your garden?
Weeds.
Weeds.
Yeah.
You want to stop the spread of weeds from your garden because those roots, if they take hold, are going to steal nutrients and steal water from your plant's growing.
So when we're looking at the origins, United States and Britain distrust Stalin because they dislike the communist rejection of religion and private property. One of the things that we mentioned previously is that the United States and England was friendly with the Soviet Union, but that's because, we had a common enemy.
Yeah.
When it comes to
We do not have
ideology,
common ideology.
ideology, no, we're way off. Soviet Union wants to overthrow non-communist governments. We start to see that. The Soviet Union distrusts the U.S. because, they feared that the U.S. would use its military power to attack the Soviet
And they
Union.
know that we have a particular weapon that can destroy entire cities.
And we used it twice. And by that, we're talking about the atomic bomb. And that's another thing when we're looking at this rivalry that's going to be probably very heavy when it comes to who has it, who wants to build a bigger one, and so on and so forth. But when we look at now Truman is in office, he now issues this doctrine. So Truman's office, it's now 1947.
We're 2 years, sorry, there's a bug flying around me. We're now 2 years away,
Good grab.
2 years removed from World War II. The Iron Curtain has descended across Eastern Europe and it's looking to spread. Like the weeds, it sees two victims that it feels like it can easily spread its influence into: Turkey and Greece.
So here's the quote, but we'll give you a little bit more background information. Mr. Kogan does bring up in 1947, the nations of Greece and Turkey were being threatened by communist takeovers. In response, Harry Truman issued this statement known as the Truman Doctrine to Soviet threats. Now, again, this is what the President of the United States is saying when we're looking at seeds being planted for communism in possibly Greece or Turkey.
Yep.
And Truman says, at the present moment in world history, nearly every nation must choose between alternative ways of life. The choice is too often not a free one. One way of life is based upon the will of the majority and distinguished by free institutions, representative government, free elections, guarantees individual liberty, freedom of speech and religion, and freedom from political oppression. The second way of life is based upon the will of a minority forcibly imposed upon the majority. It relies upon terror and oppression and the suppression of personal freedoms. I believe that we must assist free people to work out their own destinies in their own way. I believe that our help should be primarily through economic stability and orderly political process. Now, he had almost like a squirrely kind of voice, too.
Yeah.
It's funny because I heard that in my head, but then here's the other thing, because I know if we had it our way, we probably would have stopped right here.
Mm-hmm.
Because as you're reading this freedom of speech, religion, we're hearing like old patriotic music going on in the background of our head.
Yeah.
The president, the national anthem, and then bang, it transitions into this other way of life. Anything else that grabs your attention?
Well, all right. Well,
Yeah.
obviously, in this, our first choice
Yeah.
is the free one.
Yep.
This is democratic, republic, capitalistic. Free institutions, the free enterprise system, the right of the people to make their own choices as far as economic choices go. What I'm going to buy, where I'm going to buy it from. If I'm selling something, how much do I want to sell it for? Representative form of government. This is us, a republic. Remember, we are not a true democracy, we are a republic. Free elections. The guaranteeing of individual liberties, our Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, freedom of religion,
Choice is
and
nice.
and
Yeah.
freedom from political oppression.
And then the other one, when he's
The
talking
other
about the other way of
choice,
life, you see terror, oppression, suppression.
The minority forcibly imposing their will upon the majority, suppression of freedom and personal freedoms. So here, the last two sentences, this is actually the Truman Doctrine.
Right.
This is basically setting the groundwork for the next 40 years of American history. I believe that we must assist the free people of the world to work out their own destinies in their own way. And we must let people choose what they want. And they can't choose what they want if they are not economically stable.
And by putting this out there, as like the way Truman is, it's a way of saying to the rest of the world, including these countries, hey, you have a friend, and that friend is us. Mm-hmm. That's another thing, a way of putting it out there. Again, the friend. The Soviet Union is almost like your gang.
Yep. And I love this one because notice what's in his hand.
There we go. Oh, yeah, that's good.
What is the Truman Doctrine? We are going to spend money.
Yep.
In order to help countries.
We're going to spend a lot of money.
In order to help countries oppose the force of communism. Money versus force. And this really becomes his doctrine. That we will spend money, particularly in Greece and in Turkey, so those countries can resist the threat of communism. Spoiler alert!
Yeah.
It works.
Was there something else we were going to add with this?
Here it is, the Truman Doctrine.
Here we go.
Encouraging nations to resist economic expansion, this containment. This is the idea. Those weeds are growing in our garden. The Eastern European weeds, the weeds of communism. We need to contain them to the communist countries that are already communist. We cannot let them spread any further.
Another way of looking at it as well, I sometimes make this, the Soviet Union and communism is a gang. You can go and join this gang, or you can go and join our gang. Good guys or bad guys, or however you want to put it. But again, when we're looking moving forward at what countries might consider communism a good idea, they're usually countries that are in poverty.
Right, they're falling apart.
They're falling apart. And when we're looking at Europe, there's a lot of potential customers or new members after World War II, where you have Europe is mostly in ruins. So Truman feels that, hey, we have to protect those countries because if they fall, others will fall.
Hundreds of millions of people are homeless. Hundreds of millions of people are jobless because the cities are destroyed.
Yep.
And Stalin comes in, he's like, "Hey, follow me, and I'll give you a job." It might not be a lot.
Right.
It might be.
And the interesting thing is that what we just pretty much gave you is the answer to so many questions involving the world,
This is the most important phrase when it comes to the Cold War.
When it comes to the Cold War.
Containment.
Why did the United States do this during the Cold War?
Korea, containment.
To prevent the spread of communism.
Vietnam, containment.
Why are we helping them out? To prevent the spread of communism. Why did we get involved in Vietnam? There's a lot of things in there, but one of them are going to be to prevent the spread of communism. That's going to be an answer that comes up to a lot of things, including probably the most oftenly used answer to test questions
Containment.
For the Cold War.
It's almost like when I say westward expansion, what two-word phrase better pop in your head? Manifest destiny.
Yeah.
When you say Cold War, containment better pop into your
Preventing
head.
the spread of communism.
Yep.
This, for us, we could tell you this, and just about any social studies teacher, it's a pain in the neck making up a test for the Cold War, because by
There's only so many questions that you can ask about
By
containment.
accident, you'll have at least 5 that go, hey, this is in place to prevent the spread of communism.
Containment.
It's a pain in the neck.
Whether you're watching this as an 8th grader or an 11th grader or a
an
college
adult
student.
Yeah, exactly. Prevent the spread of communism.
Containment.
Yep. Cool.
Peace.
Thanks for watching.
Containment!